All right, I said I was going to make a video about the true nature of reality, since we know, when I say we, I mean the people that are aware enough of what Buddha taught, and including Jesus too, of the concept that this reality is not real, in a sense that there's no such thing as physicality. But who cares about that? My point in talking about this video is to describe the true reality, the essence from which this reality proceeds from. And this is spoken about in the Vedas, it's spoken about in a lot of surviving writings talk about it. And Jesus even spoke about he's not the king of this world that Lucifer is, and that sort of thing. So, what is the actual true nature of reality? Some gurus, now I'm not speaking about living ones, but some that were clearly, in my opinion, enlightened, spoke about it as being shunyata is a word they use, which is silence, the absence of everything that is pregnant with everything. So I like that. I did not coin that, by the way. I don't know whoever came up with that, but they clearly knew what they were talking about. So to say that the true nature of reality is nothingness is kind of misleading, in a sense that if you think about the people say, well, heaven, okay, that's a misunderstanding of what reality is. They say they're going to die and go to heaven, blah, 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 blah. But you see, heaven is still an idea of a place where duality and non-duality and all these things still exist. So heaven is more like there's a thing called the astral plane of existence. That's kind of like the concept of heaven. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. But what I am saying is, just like this reality, it's a temporary existence that is kind of like a placeholder, or a place where, when your consciousness, which is all there is, isn't fixated here upon this physical reality, then it's somewhere else. It doesn't ever not exist. So once it becomes existent, it has to be somewhere. It can't just fade out of existence. That's impossible. Well, I don't like to use the word existence, because that's kind of leads you astray too. But it can't just cease to exist. Your consciousness, what you are, cannot cease to exist once it exists. Well, actually, that's a misguidance too, because to say once it exists, I mean existing in the physical or the conscious reality of what we think is real. You've always existed, just like God has always existed. I mean, that's just the way it is. But you created yourself into existence through the light of God. And if you think about it, like a star comes into existence and casts its light, once it becomes existent, then anything that reacts to that light, I mean, because you could ignore that light and stay non-existent, but once you pay attention to it and accept it, then you exist. You come into existence in a reality of some sort, be it the astral plane, heaven, this, that, whatever the case may be. It's all a mechanism for you to continue to develop your awareness essence into the ultimate of what you are going to become. And if you become, in a sense, exactly like God. So, for instance, when I say exactly like God, we can say a rainbow is God. We could say that, okay? And then when you say, well, when you become exactly like the rainbow. So, trying to segregate the blue from the yellow, yeah, you can see there's a difference, okay? But they're both aspects of the rainbow. You can't take one away from it, and I mean, you can't do that. So if you create yourself into being exactly like God, what does that mean? Well, that means you might be red, green, blue, or you might be whatever. But that doesn't mean you're exactly like God. What that means is you are the same as God in the sense that you're a part of a rainbow. I know this is kind of complex. I don't know how to get it out of my mind or my understanding and put it into words. That's the problem. It's not that I don't know what I'm talking about. I appear to not know what I'm talking about using the English language, and my brain doesn't necessarily produce the same outcome. But I'm making excuses, and I don't mean to do that. I just don't want to lead you astray. I definitely know what the hell I'm talking about. I just have a difficulty expressing it in words. So, getting back to the true nature of reality, the one existence that is eternal and always exists. It never not exists. There's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing there except awareness. There's this physicality, like steel and iron and wood and molecules and atoms and photons and whatever, the magnetosphere and magnetism, all these things are not real. They're imagined into existence from the mind of God, and and it's a dream is what it is, and you're coexisting in this dream to create yourself. So to think that, let's say you think that this world is beautiful. I know it doesn't seem beautiful right now with this COVID-19 virus spreading around the entire world, but let's assume you have seen beautiful waterfalls and birds tweeting and little rainbow from the mist that's rising up, and jagged rocks with mist wafting over the ferns and all that kind of stuff. Do you see how I just created a reality that you were following me in imagining that same thing? That's exactly what God does. And so I didn't create ferns. I didn't create waterfalls. I didn't create this thing other than, yes, I did create it in my mind, you see? And so this reality is the same way. There's no such thing as light waves. There's no such thing as atoms and molecules. There's no such thing as anything, okay? And that's why the universe appears to be endless, because the mind of God, or the realm of reality, isn't contained within this physical reality. It is endless. It goes on forever. So again, my point in creating this waterfall scene and the ferns and the the cool texture and the beauty of this. What I'm saying is, if that's coming from the mind of God, this true nature of reality is infinitely more beautiful. Does that make sense? I mean, beautiful in a sense that from our mind and from our psyche, we think, oh, that would be a terrible place to be because it's dark and there's nothing. And it's just absent of anything and everything. And there's nothing to stand on and sit on. There's just nothing. But you see, that's the nature of reality. And for you to think that it's something bad, it's because your mind is physical and you're coexisting in this physical body that God has created for you. But in reality, the true nature of reality, shunyata, is a place that is infinitely more beautiful than anything you can imagine. And people talk about heaven or this or that. Heaven is like hell compared to the true nature of reality being one with God. Because your awareness is always fixated upon God when you're one with God. And God is beautiful. And God is pure love. So when you are one with God and you exist in a environment, and I hate to say environment because that again makes the mind think about something physical, but when you are one with God eventually, and of course you can't be one with God if you're not exactly like God. If you're not a segment of the rainbow or something of that nature, there's no evil in the rainbow. Does that make sense? I mean, I know that people teach about non-duality and they say good and evil and all that. That's bullshit. It's pure unadulterated lying. People that teach that are either ignorant, which I believe most of them are ignorant, or they're evil, one or the other. But there is no such thing as non-duality. That is a false teaching to lead people astray. But in the true nature of reality, where you're one with God, there's no such thing as duality or non-duality. There's no such thing as one. There's no such thing as two. There's no such thing as none, because those are concepts that are derived from this physical reality. Now, everything is supposed to be impossible to figure out. That's the nature of this reality, so that you develop yourself without any assistance from anyone, including God, other than because you have to use faith to continue. Because, see, faith is the only possible way in which an individual can develop themselves. If it's through coercion, or if no matter what God does in the sense that you're aware of God doing it, then that's not the true nature of faith. And so that just can't happen. It's never happened. Jesus mentioned something like no one has ever seen the Father, meaning God or whatever. And then, of course, liars put in, well, except the Son saw God. That's not true. That's a lie that's been put in the Bible by who knows who, hundreds of years after Jesus lived. But anyways, yeah, and the reason I'm saying, trying to express the true nature of reality, do I know it? Do I feel it? Have I experienced it in the nature of enlightenment? Yes, I have. But I can't say I did it on my own, because it's impossible, and I do mean this truly. It's impossible to do this on your own. There's no way. I mean, you need the assistance of God, and God is never going to give you assistance unless you're ready for that assistance. I mean, you have to sort of say, cross your T's and dot your I's. You have to fully develop yourself to the point that you are the epitome of love. You are the epitome of faith. You are the epitome of readiness, and you have the heart of love and compassion, which is why I make these videos. If you get to that point where you don't want anything for yourself, all you want to do is help others, if you ever get to that point, and if you do get to that point, I assure you, you will be tested to the point where it's the same as giving up your life. Now, if God so sees that it's not necessary for you to give up your life, still in your mind and in your psyche, you will know that you did give up your life and that you gave up everything. And you didn't give it up because you wanted something. If you give it up because you want something, like I want to become enlightened, or I want to know this, or I want to know that, that's not the same kind of giving up, because that's not giving up, you see, because you see you want something. If you're striving to understand bliss, you want total bliss in your life. You want to rid yourself of this reality. If you want to, whatever the case may be, that's not the same thing, because see, you're not giving up anything really. You're striving for something, and that's a teaching that has been going on for thousands of years. You know, you have to seek bliss and harmony and love and all. That's not right, because see, you're not giving up when you want something. Does that make sense? You have to want nothing, and not in a sense that you're angry or frustrated, or you're pissed off because things didn't go your way, and your life is miserable and this and that, whatever the case may be. I'm just like, I don't care, I want to die. See, that's not the same thing either, because again, you're not giving up. You're angry, you're frustrated, there's something amiss. You have to have the nature of pure 100% love within you. And if and when you ever get to that point, then you don't want anything. Love is not a wanting. Love is the giving of yourself to God, or the giving of yourself to other people, or the giving of yourself to nothingness, the giving of yourself in such a way that you are the epitome of bliss and harmony, not for any reason that you want something, but that you just are that. And because of that, the fruit of that is that you do things for people out of love. You give of yourself for love. You don't get recompense by money. You don't get recompense by people taking care of you and this and that. No, you have to stand on your own 2 feet. That's one of the signs that your guru or your spiritual teacher is not the epitome or the truest form of an enlightened master. If they get anything, 1 penny, if they get a free car, if they get a place to live, if they can't support themselves by the mystery of having things work in their favor, that they don't need the support of anyone else, then that's the sign you're talking to a true master. But that's not a guarantee either. That could be a total crackpot. You have to use your heart to do. Anyways, I'm getting off the track. The point of this video was the true nature of reality. If and when you ever get to that point where you understand that, and then it will erase the ignorance of duality, non-duality. It'll erase the ignorance about Advaita and the true meaning of what that really means. Not two does not mean one. That's an asinine misinterpretation. Anyways, again, thank you for watching this, and I hope that you utilize your time during this worldwide virus situation to, if you're isolated, to research these sorts of things. Maybe it's time to do something for the first time in your life, like utilize the faith in you to pray to God. And not pray to God because you are afraid you're going to die of a virus, or not because of any reason other than it's an opportunity given to you to research the core essence of what reality is and what you are, to find that out. Because this thing is not going to go away. When I say this thing, this virus issue, it's not going to go away. I mean, I had a vision about this 8 years ago, and if it follows according to my vision, it will be a worldwide scenario that plays out over the course of approximately 6 months, and a large portion of the population will pass away. But if it follows true, then to my vision, everything will come through just fine. The government, actually, I don't put any faith in governments. I think they're, for the most part, evil. But in my vision, the government stepped in to restart everything after approximately 5 to 6 months. And everything did work out. So, yeah, take care of yourself, people, both spiritually and physically. And my only desire is to have friends, and not because I'm friendless, but to be a friend of someone is the same companionship between God and me. There's a friendship, you see. And speaking about God, with a friendship like that, you don't fear God. The teaching in the Christianity, you must fear God and everything, is, again, another one of those lies that was put in there. It's like I love my wife. I don't fear her. If I did, I wouldn't love her. Does that make sense? If you fear God, you certainly do not love God, and unless you're speaking of a different God. But either way, love eliminates fear. And so if you have fear, you don't have love. So the true nature of your reality with God should be a friendship. That's how you become one with God. In a friendship, I mean, friends do things. They laugh at each other. They may play pranks on each other, but in a fashion that's loving, that's fun, to laugh about it. This is what is being taught in the earliest Vedas about the funniness or the true nature of Krishna, and they were playing games and everything with each other. And I'm not advocating that the Vedas are the perfect thing or any more than the Bible is, but they're trying to depict a reality that is true in its nature. And when there's this love of companionship, of friend and everything, they do play games, and they do things like that with each other. They don't revere God and get down on their knees and kiss him and, oh, Master God, you are blah, blah, blah. Yes, you do that because that's the true nature of how you feel about God. But at the same time, there's a friendship there. And when the dust settles that you kiss the feet of God or this or that or whatever, the next step is you want to do something fun with that individual because you love them as a friend. Does that make sense? Anyways, thank you for watching.